Most kids today get their first smartphone before they can read a full chapter of a book, and here's what nobody tells you. Delaying that doesn't make you a strict parent. It actually makes you the one who's paying attention. I get it. When your child is the only one in their friend group without a phone, the pressure feels enormous. But what if I told you that the real problem isn't when kids get a device? It's that we've never actually decided why they're getting one in the first place. We just hand them over because everyone else did, and then we spend the next decade managing the consequences. I've watched families navigate this in wildly different ways. Some parents hand a smartphone to their 7-year-old because they believe that's just what you do now. Others wait until their child is in high school and feel deeply guilty about it. And then there are families somewhere in the middle who've thought intentionally about what their kids actually need, when they need it, and what that looks like in their home. Here's what I've learned from talking to parents, teachers, and child development experts. The families who feel the least anxious about their kids' tech use aren't the ones with the strictest rules. They're the ones who made a real choice, consciously, together as a family rather than just following what everyone else was doing. Let me paint a picture of what smartphone-free childhood can actually look like, because I think a lot of parents imagine it wrong. They picture a child sitting alone, completely disconnected, unable to text their friends, cut off from everything. That's not what this is about. A smartphone-free childhood doesn't mean a tech-free childhood. It means your child gets access to technology in ways that are intentional, supervised, and tied to genuine need rather than just, well, having it because. Think about what kids actually did before smartphones existed. They still had computers at home. They had tablets. They used technology at school. They had camera phones. They played online games with friends. But they didn't have something small and infinitely stimulating that they carried everywhere, something designed specifically to keep them looking at a screen every few seconds. And that distinction matters more than you probably realize. One parent I spoke with described waiting until her son was 13 to give him a smartphone. By then, she said, he already understood how to use a computer responsibly. He'd already learned to be bored without reaching for a device. He'd already built friendships without needing to text constantly. When the phone finally arrived, it was an addition to a life he'd already lived for 13 years, not the center of it. Now, I'm not here to tell you that 13 is the magic number for your family. That's between you and your child and what you think is right. But what was interesting was what she noticed. By waiting, her son never saw the phone as the thing he needed to be happy or connected. He saw it as a tool. There's a real difference. The research backs this up in ways that might surprise you. Kids who get smartphones later tend to have stronger attention spans by the time they hit their teens. They're less likely to develop anxiety around social media. They're more comfortable with boredom. And here's the one that gets parents' attention. They often feel less left out than you'd expect, not more. Why? Because when none of your close friends have phones either, there's no left out feeling to begin with. But delaying isn't just about saying no. It's about saying yes to other things first. A smartphone-free childhood in the early years means your child gets years of building skills that phones actually damage, sitting with their own thoughts, entertaining themselves, being genuinely bored, and learning to move through that boredom. It means they practice face-to-face friendship skills without the shortcut of texting. It means they learn to read real books, play with blocks, ride bikes, and have conversations that don't end abruptly when a notification pops up. I want you to imagine this for a moment. Your 8-year-old comes home from school. Instead of handing them a phone to keep them quiet, what if they had to figure out what to do with themselves? At first, that's awful. They're frustrated, they're bored, they might even complain. But then something shifts. They build a fort. They draw for 20 minutes. They read a graphic novel. They make up a game. They call a friend on the house phone and invite them over. These seem like small things, but they're the building blocks of creativity, independence, and resilience. Phones bypass all of that. And here's the part most parents miss. When you finally do introduce your child to a smartphone, how you do it matters as much as when. This is where the gentle part comes in. A lot of families treat tech introductions like a light switch off or on. Either their kid has zero access or unlimited access. But what if it was more like gradually turning up the volume? What if it was intentional and gradual? Maybe it starts with a shared family tablet that everyone uses in the living room. Then maybe it's a basic phone with texting and calling for safety when they're out with friends. Then maybe it's limited social media with parental oversight. Then maybe it's more independence as they prove they can handle it. Each step is an opportunity to teach, to watch, to talk about what's happening, not to suddenly hand over a portal to the entire internet and hope for the best. Here's what I see happen with parents who do this thoughtfully. They spend months or even years gradually introducing technology in the context of real conversations. They're not trying to scare their kid into good behavior. They're teaching. And when the actual smartphone finally arrives, it's not this shocking, exciting, forbidden thing that dominates their kid's mind. It's just the next step in something that's already been happening. If you're trying to figure out what this looks like in your own home, I want to give you something concrete you can work with. Because knowing that delaying phones is beneficial and actually doing it are two very different things. If you're dealing with real pressure right now from your kid, from other parents, from this nagging feeling that maybe you're behind, I've found that parents who feel most confident about their choices are the ones with an actual plan. They've thought about what problems they're trying to solve, what their family's values actually are, and what they want tech to look like in their home. And then they've written that down or at least talked about it together. If this resonates with you, if you're navigating these decisions and you want some practical framework to think it through, I've put together a free chapter from the Parenting in the Digital Age Guide that walks through exactly how to have these conversations with your family and how to make intentional tech choices that actually stick. It's linked in the description, and it'll give you language you can actually use when your kid pushes back or when you're uncertain yourself. Let me circle back to something important though, because I don't want to make this sound easier than it actually is. Delaying smartphones and introducing technology gently does come with real challenges. Your child might feel genuinely left out. You might hear about it constantly. There will probably be a birthday party where they're the only one without a phone. That's real, and I don't want to pretend it isn't. But here's what matters. The families who have navigated this successfully don't do it by white-knuckling their way through and hoping their kid doesn't resent them. They do it by being really clear about why, by staying connected to their kid through the process, and by being willing to listen and adjust. One parent told me something I think about a lot. She said, "I'm not raising my kids in a world without phones." That's not realistic. I'm raising them for a world with phones. And that takes more time than just handing one over when they ask. That reframing changes everything. You're not the mean parent saying no. You're the thoughtful parent who's preparing your kid to actually handle something powerful and potentially harmful. You're the one buying them time to develop judgment, impulse control, and a sense of self before they're introduced to something designed to be addictive. And here's what actually happens when you do this. By the time your child gets a smartphone, they have questions about it. They want to know how it works. They're curious about the rules because they've been in conversations about this for years. They're not just desperate to use it because it's forbidden fruit. They actually understand what they're being given. The other shift that happens is subtle but powerful. Your relationship with technology becomes a family conversation, not a battle. You're not sitting across from your teenager trying to take their phone away from them. You're sitting beside them, having already established that you talk about this stuff, that you have reasons for the choices you make, and that those reasons are worth taking seriously. Now, I want to address something because I know it's sitting in the back of your mind. What about safety? If your kid doesn't have a phone, how do you reach them in an emergency? The honest answer is, they probably don't need one as early as parents think they do. Most kids under 10 spend most of their time in environments where an adult is responsible for them, school, home, activities. When they do need communication for safety, a basic phone that calls and texts, but doesn't have internet access covers that completely. Those phones exist, and they're genuinely useful. But I think the bigger point is this. We've conflated safety with unlimited connectivity. We tell ourselves we need to hand our 7-year-old a smartphone so we can reach them anytime. But when you think about it, that's not really about their safety. That's about our anxiety. And there's a difference. A smartphone doesn't make your child safer from actual threats. It makes you feel more connected. Those aren't the same thing. The families doing this well separate those concerns. They give their younger kids basic communication tools if needed. They keep emergency numbers in their own phone. They're reachable themselves. And they wait to introduce the full internet-connected device until their kid is older and actually needs it. As your child gets older, maybe high school, the calculus changes. Social communication does start to matter more. Friends are making plans through text and social apps. College applications are online. There's actual utility to a smartphone beyond just keeping you connected. That's often when it makes sense to introduce one more seriously. But even then, the introduction still matters. You're not just handing over a device and saying, don't do anything bad with it. You're saying, here's what this can do. Here's what we're concerned about. Here's what we need from you as you learn to use this responsibly. And here's what happens if you make choices that compromise your safety or well-being. That conversation is so much easier to have if you've been having versions of it for years already. Here's something else that shifts when you do this. Your child develops something that's increasingly rare in kids who grew up with constant connectivity. They develop the ability to be bored without it devastating them. They can sit in a waiting room without a device and not feel like the world is ending. They can be on a family trip where everyone's not staring at screens. They can have a conversation that lasts more than 30 seconds. I know that sounds small, but it's not. Boredom is where creativity happens. It's where self-reflection happens. It's where kids learn to entertain themselves and feel okay in their own company. That foundation is incredibly hard to build once a child has spent years trained by an algorithm to never be bored for more than a few seconds. One more thing I want to mention because I think it gets overlooked. If you do this, if you delay smartphones and introduce technology thoughtfully, you're also teaching your child something profound about decision-making. You're showing them that just because something exists and everyone else has it doesn't mean you have to get it. You're teaching them that you can be intentional about your own tech use, that you can make choices based on your values rather than pressure. Do you know how rare that is? Most kids never learn that. They grow up in a world where they're told that to be included, to be normal, to be okay, they need this device at this age. And then when they're adults, they struggle with that same assumption about everything else. The kids who grow up in homes where tech choices are thoughtful and questioned, they're the ones as teenagers and young adults who can look at what everyone's doing on social media and ask, is this actually something I want to spend my time on? They're the ones who can feel pressure to be online constantly and say, not for me. That's an incredibly valuable skill that nobody's teaching kids right now. So as you're thinking about what this looks like in your own family, I want to leave you with this. There's no single right age or right way to do this. But there is a right approach, and it's the one where you've actually thought about why. Where you've talked to your partner or co-parent about what you believe. Where you've had conversations with your kid about what's coming and why. And where you're willing to adjust as your child grows and your circumstances change. The pressure will be real. The pushback will happen. Your kid will probably feel left out sometimes. But what you're building, a child who can think for themselves about technology instead of just consuming it thoughtlessly, a family where this stuff gets talked about openly, a home where tech serves you instead of controlling you. That's worth the discomfort of being a little different. What's one way that delaying or rethinking tech in your home has actually worked for your family? I'd love to hear about it in the comments. What surprised you? What made you reconsider what you thought you had to do?